any other IT company, they would have a typical, IT infrastructure in place. Okay, where you will see a gateway router, where you will see a firewall, you will see a load balancer, load balancing the web server if their company has any web application. Then you will see an internal load balancer which balance the database. You will see a domain controller where they'll manage all the users internally. Then you will see a DMZ zone where outside our traffic joins and have access to the web server. And there can be many things. You can have multiple routers, you can have matches, multiple firewalls, multiple load balancers, multiple application servers, multiple database servers. So this is a typical IT infrastructure. The similar IT infrastructure we can also have on Azure. Okay, but here now the networking what we do is managed by Microsoft. So apart from that, everything else be managed by us. We will manage the load balancer, which is internal or external. We'll balance the internal load balance. We'll manage the network security groups. We'll manage the subnet. We'll manage the VMs. We'll manage everything in Azure as well. The only thing we are not worried much about is the external routing. Okay, that is taken care by Microsoft. Okay, so what are the services available in Microsoft? So these are the few services. We will not be going through all, but we will be going through the major one. We have a virtual network. Okay, virtual network is nothing but your own private network, on the public cloud. Then you have VPN gateway for point to site or site to site VPNs. Then you have application gateway. This is for your web application service, PaaS service. Then you have load balancer. Then you have Azure DNS service. Then you have Azure managed firewall. Then you have traffic manager to manage HTTPS, load balance HTTPS traffic. Then an Azure Express route for your lease line connectivity directly to Azure data center. Okay. So how the communication of resources happen in Azure? So it happens in these ways. Okay, you can communicate through a virtual network. You can communicate through virtual network peering. You can communicate to point-to-site VPN from your on-premise network to Azure. You communicate through site-to-site VPN from your on-premise network to Azure, or from one VNet to another VNet. We will learn about all those things now. Okay, and you have an express route, which is a private connection via an express route partner. So they will have your own line. Right now, if you use Click, so you will be using a shared line. So if you opt for express route, so there are certain Microsoft partners who will have implement a lease line directly from your on-premise center to Microsoft data center, and that will be a private connection. Okay, so that is called express route in Azure. What is a virtual network? Okay, so a virtual network is nothing but it's a fundamental building block of your private network in Azure. Okay, a virtual network is your own private network. You will manage all the IP addresses, all the security of that network. So, and you will implement all your devices, resources there. So this VM enables services like VMs or PaaS to communicate with each other. If you do not have any VNet, your Azure resources will not communicate internally or externally. Okay, and as a customer or as a person who is using Azure, you can have multiple VNets per region and per subscription. Okay, and anything in Azure is deployed under a resource group. Resource group is just the container where you have all the resource, and this is mostly used for billing purpose. Okay, and management as well. Okay, so every VNet will have an IP address range. Okay, you have to, while creating the VNet, you have to give the IP address range. If you do not give the IP address range, you will not be able to create. Yeah, sorry guys, I have some network problem today. I hope you guys can see my screen now.
Yes, Asif.
Anyone? Yeah, right. So I have some network problem today, so you will see on and off my screen going off. Uh, so this VNet will have an a CIDR address block. So if you can see this in image, I have created an address space of 10.0.2.0/16, and inside that we created two subnets, one called front end, another called back end. So without this address space, you will not be able to create the VNet. Okay. Yeah. So the VNet assigns the private address spaces. You designate whatever you designate, those addresses are assigned. Okay. Subnets are deployed within the VNet to provide the address space. Okay. So we can have multiple subnets inside VNet, and in that way we can manage the network. Okay. Subnets communicate with one another by default. Okay. All the subnets within the resource group will communicate by default. Okay. All resources have outbound internet connectivity by default, so you can go to internet by default. Okay. And we add a public address or on a load balancer or on the VM NIC if you want to, for inbound connectivity also. If you want someone to connect to Azure's network, virtual network, if you want outside traffic to, you can do that by using a load balancer or by public your VM NIC card. Okay. And you can connect your on this VNet. You can also connect with your on-premise network by having a site-to-site VPN or by an express route connectivity. Okay. Just give me 1 minute. My network is back. I'll just sign it. Private IP addresses in Azure as well. And based on your requirement, you can assign a public IP to the resources. Okay. Resources in sense to the load balancer or to the VM. Okay. All the IP addresses you can also statically give, but initially Microsoft will allow an IP, and then you will go and make it static. Okay. And IP addresses are not assigned until unless any resource is created. Okay. And if you want to use the IP address of one, you want to recover it, then the object has to be deallocated. Okay. And static addresses, what I meant, you go publicly and you explicitly go and make the IP static. That is equivalent to DHCP reservation. So you are reserving that IP for that machine or for that resource. Okay. And whatever the IP addresses is assigned, it is assigned from the subnet what you have defined earlier. Okay. Another important thing you have to remember is Azure reserves first 3 IP addresses and last IP address for their internal communication. We do not know why Microsoft reserve that, but they reserve it. So let's say you have a subnet 192.168.1.0. So the virtual machine what you create for the first virtual machine will not get 92.168.0.1. It will get 0.4 because 1, 2, 3 are reserved by Azure. Okay. And the last IP 255 is also reserved by Azure. Okay. As we understood, right, we can further isolate our segments, our address space in in the VNet using subnets. Okay, you can see I have an address range of 192.160.0.0/16. Inside that, we created 2 subnets, front end and back end, and we gave 2 networks. Okay, so you can divide the address space into subnets. That's the only thing you have to remember. By default, all subnets can communicate with each other. Okay, but if you want to control the flow of the the communication, you can use network security groups. Okay, or a firewall, network virtual appliance. Subnet must be the part of the address space. Okay, whatever address space you are giving, that can only be created as a subnet. Okay, the address space is 192.168, but you cannot create a subnet of 170.31. Okay. I hope you guys are aware about the classes of IP, right? The private classes, class A, class B, and class C. Okay. And subnet addresses should not overlap. Okay. You can have multiple subnets. It all depends on your subnet address range. Let's say if you gave address range as /24, okay, you can only have one subnet. You cannot create multiple subnets here. Okay, or else you have to do VLSM. You have to do variant length subnet masking to create multiple subnets. You can use a service endpoint to restrict access to resources. Service endpoint means you can create a subnet that will only speak to Azure resources, okay, like Azure Storage or Azure Key Vault, all those services. That facility is also available. We'll see that in the demo. Azure will reserve 5 addresses from each of your subnet. We understood, the 3 and the last one, and there's one more address it will reserve. Okay, and the smallest subrange range you can select is /29. /30, /31 is not supported. Okay, we will create the network first. Okay, first I'll create a resource group for our purpose. I'll call it as PSF demo. Okay, and this time we will select the region as Central US. Okay. Okay. For the demo purpose today, I have already created few subnets. Just give me 1 minute, guys. Yeah. So we'll create a network, so this is how you create. You can go to virtual networks from here, or you can type virtual networks here. So it will take you to virtual networks, or else you can also type from create a resource and then you type virtual network. So it will take you to virtual network. Okay. I'll select the resource group what we have created. So by selecting the resource group, it selected the region. I can change the region if I want. So I'll make this. Let's simulate an on-premise, infrastructure. So we'll call it as PSF demo, PSF on-prem. We'll think this is our on-premise, okay, which is in Central USA. And next is the IP address range. So it has already taken what IP address ranges are available, but let's change this and we'll create a different IP address. We'll take 172.31.0.0 and /16. So this is the IP address range what we have selected. Okay, you can have multiple IP addresses if you want, but we'll select one range, and this will show you how many IP addresses you can have. You can have 65,536 IP addresses in this range. Okay, then we'll create the subnet. We will call this subnet PSF on-prem. Okay, you can have multiple subnets. Will 172.31.1.0/24. So now I have taken, I have taken this subnet from this IP range, and it is giving me 251 IP, and 5 IPs are reserved by Azure. Okay. And service endpoints, we spoke about service endpoint, right? If you want this IP address to be selected, used only by these services which are there in Azure, we can do that. We will not be doing that as of now. And I'll add this subnet. Okay, and now this subnet is added. If I want to create more subnet, I can do that. Okay. Let security, you can do Bastion host and DDoS protection. So this Bastion host service is used for PaaS. If you want to connect to your PaaS service, you can do that, but in our case, we'll not do it. And basic DDoS protection is there. If you want to learn more about the paid version, you can select standard. Okay. Then you have firewall capabilities also. If you want to have the firewall, then you have to give the firewall name, the address range, and everything. So we'll not do it here in this case for this virtual network. We'll just create this virtual network. I review. I have created. So this is the virtual network which is created, and you can deploy resources within this virtual network. imagine, creating this virtual network, in the on-premise environment, you have to do a lot of things, Microsoft has done it, any cloud provider has done it, very easily. We can, have the resources. So if you refresh, you will see the, it's creating. It takes some times, but it will create. So now the resource is created. If you go to our PSF on-prem, this is the resource what we have created. So you can see the name, the resource group where it is created. You can see the address range. Okay. You can see the DNS server is provided by Azure. We'll come to this. We can have our custom DNS. You can see the location. You can see the subscription. You can see subscription ID. And if you have any tags, you will see that. And similarly, you have the activity logs. If you want your IT administrator to have access to this virtual network, you can give them access using access control. And if you see the address space, what you have created, it's this address space. Do you have any connected devices? As of now, no devices connected. You can see the subnet, what you have created. And you have the basic DDoS protection. You have no firewall. And you have no security group as of now, security center. And DNS is managed by Azure. And will come about peer service points. No, we have not assigned any service points to this subnet. To the VNet, sorry, and you have peering. We'll come to peering, okay? Similarly, you can have locks here. We have studied about locks, right? You have delete lock and read-only lock. Delete will not allow to delete, but allow update. Read-only will only read, no update as well, okay? So we have created this virtual network, okay? And we have given the address space as well. I can add multiple address spaces if I want from here as well. I can create an on-prem front-end and back-end subnet, and I can give that. The other option what you get here is NAT gateway. If you are doing NATing, you have that option to do NAT gateway. We'll talk about security network group. This is the basic access controls, list what you have. If you are from networking background, you will create, ACLs, right? Access control list. So similarly, you can control the outflow and inflow of traffic within your network. Similarly, you can do in your subnet, and you also have route table. If there are certain routes, we'll learn about this in the next slides. Okay. So next is network security groups. What network NSG can do is, they can filter the traffic which is coming, to and from Azure, okay, using the VNet, okay. And this NSG is applied at two places. You can apply this NSG at the subnet level, okay. You can apply at the subnet level, and you can also apply it at the network interface card at the VM level, okay. And they contain rules that specify the traffic, whether it is allowed or denied, blocked, okay. By default, all inbound traffic is denied and all outbound traffic is allowed, okay. You explicitly add rules to allow traffic into your virtual machine internally, okay. You have to add rules which you want to allow. So if you remember, whenever we created VMs, like during our last classes, we gave certain port numbers, like for Linux, we gave port 22, and for RDP, we get 388. So we have explicitly asked to allow this traffic. Then only we will be able to do, SSH and RDP into that VM. Okay. So these rules will have priority. Okay. All higher the priority will have lower number, and higher priority will be given first preference. Okay. And you will have a rule name and the description. Then you will have the port and the protocol that we intend to allow or block. Okay. And you will also have source and destination addresses. So this can be a virtual network, an IP address, or a service tag. It can be anything. And you'll have action whether to allow or deny. Okay. So these are certain best practices, you have to follow when you create a virtual network. Ensure that you do not have an overlapping address. Okay, this is the main thing. You have to work, you have to plan your IP addresses properly before you start creating the VNet. Okay, the subnet should not consume entire VNet address space. Okay, leave room for growth. Use large networks over small networks to avoid peering and complexity. Okay, we'll understand what peering is, and secure your VNet using network security groups. Okay. So we'll understand what network security group is. So we'll create one more network. We'll call it PSF AZ1. We'll select the same, and this time we'll create it in central US, in not central US. Okay, and we'll call it as PSF is VNet AC1. Okay, we'll create in central US only. Yeah. This time the IP address range what we'll give is, we'll give it 132 and 172. Okay, and we'll add this subnet. AZ1. We'll give the subnet 72.32.0.0/24. I can give this sometimes. Okay. We have this range only, right? Okay, it is not taking this range. You have to, you have to just remember this. That is actual correct subnet, but you should show this. Okay. Select one if it's taking one. If a single mistake happens, right, this will not allow us to create the subnet. I have done no mistake, but it is giving me that error. But this is the same IP range. Why it is not, the subnet range is not contained in the virtual network address space?
Asif, can you take 172?
I have taken 172 only, right? Give me 1 minute. Okay. We have, what I'm typing is correct, but even then it is not taking that. 172.32.0.0/24. So even then
It's
it is
not
correct.
applied.
Yeah. No, it will, once it, it says that is an error, right? It will not allow you to do it again. That's the worst behavior of this 172.32.0.0/24. So now it's taken. So if you see that error again, close it and open it, it will come. So you are aware that /16, you will have these two as network ports and these, sorry, host ports, and these two are network ports. If you want IP6 address also, you can do, but we'll leave it. That is very complicated. Security I'll leave as default, and I'll create. Okay, let's wait for till this subnets get created. Sorry, virtual network gets created. So this will give the virtual net, you will see or whatever virtual network you have, and you will see the address range. If you do not see the address range, then you can manage the view, edit the columns, and bring the columns what you want to bring into this view. Okay. So we have created this VNet, okay, the name and the address space associated with it, and the subnets. Okay. Now you see, if you go to this subnet, you do not have any network security group associated with this subnet. We understood, right? The network security group is associated with the subnet or with the network interface card. So what we'll do, we'll create a NSG, okay, network security group. I'll select the, then I'll call it as NSG. So we created that, PSF VNet EZ1. So we created this VNet, right? Okay. And for that subnet, we are creating it. We'll create whatever name you want to give, you can give. You can select the region where you have created the virtual network and you click create. Okay. Preview and you create. So when you create this, right? So what Microsoft does behind is it creates certain rules. Okay. It adds those NSG rules by default. You will see those rules. What are those rules? So it by default allows some traffic. We know that, all these subnets within the address space communicate with each other. You will see that rule, that you can go to internet, you can see that rule. So all those rules are available. If you show the overview and you see the rules which Microsoft has created, right? You see the inbound rules and the outbound rules here. Okay. So if you see, allow VNet inbound from any port, any protocol, from any virtual network. So any traffic which is coming from any virtual network within this same virtual network, okay, from one machine in this virtual network to another machine is allowed. Any traffic on any port, any IP address within the address range, it is allowed. Okay. And allow Azure load balancer inbound. So any traffic, if you have a load balancer which is internal, that is allowed. Okay, from the load balance to any destination. And all other traffic is denied. Okay, and you see the priority value. So this is the first priority. So if any traffic is coming within the virtual network, within this, okay, not from a different virtual network, within AZ1, you may have multiple machines within AZ1, right? Okay, that traffic is allowed internally within the VNet. Okay, from load balancer, if you have any load balancer which is balancing the virtual machines, then that traffic is also allowed. Other traffic is denied by default. If you go to outbound traffic from one machine to another machine is allowed within the VNet. Outbound traffic to internet is allowed, and any other traffic is disallowed. But all the traffic is allowed. Okay, so this rule does not make any sense. But you can see all the traffic to internet is allowed. Okay, but what you can do, you can create multiple inbound security rules. So let's create a security rule which says that we can do SSH from my IP. Okay, so I'll just go and check what is my IP. So this is my public IP of my internet provider. I'll copy this. Okay, I will do SSH once we create a machine. So in this, we'll add a machine, and I want that to have a public IP. I should do a SSH into that. So I'll select you have these three options, you can, four options, you can have any, you can have IP address, you can have service stacks, you have application security group. Any is from any source, you can have this. If you are IP address, from an IP address range or a specific IP address can be a source. Service stack, any service from Azure can be your service, which will connect. And application security group, if you are learning platform as a service, instead of network security groups, there you have application security groups, which will filter the traffic. Okay, that is in PaaS service, not infrastructure service. But in our case, we'll select IP address and we'll give my public IP. And the source port range, I want to give 22. Okay, and destination, okay, no, this is from the source, so I can come from any port. And destination will be my virtual network, or I can give any, because I am coming from my public IP, right? So I'll give any, and I'll give the port range where I want to do. I can just say 22. So because this is the SSH port 22, and I'll say allow, and I'm giving this priority as 100. So this will be the first priority which will take, and I'm giving the name If you want to give a description, you can give, and I'll create this. So now you see, if anyone, from my public IP, if I'm trying to do SSH to the VMs which are, which are in this virtual network, okay, I am allowed to do that from this IP address. Now, if I give my public IP to you guys of my machine, and if you try to do SSH, you will not be able to do that. Okay. The other rule, what we will do is, we'll create peering later on. So for that, we will allow our on-premise address space to connect to this VM. Okay. So we'll create one more inbound rule. Okay. The source will be this IP address range. Okay. This is the IP address range of this virtual network. So virtual network cannot communicate with each other. Okay. By default. So you have to do VNet peering, or you have to do point to site VPN between them to do that. So we will do that. So for doing that, we have to create this rule. So we are creating this rule, and the source can be anything. The destination can be anything, because this is my own virtual network and this is within Microsoft's network. I am allowing any port, any destination. And here also destination can be anything. I'll allow any port. Priority, I will say 200, and I'll change it to all inbound from what is the VNet name, from the PSF on-prem. We'll call this on-prem. We are giving this name. Okay. Then I'll add this. Similarly, okay, I want any other traffic. If you want to allow, let's say we will have a web application server, and you want this web application server to be connected by internet, you can do that. You create any source, because web application website, you will have any source. It can be any source port, any source destination. Okay. And the port you can keep as 80, and you allow it. You keep the value as 300. You say port 80, and you can add that rule. Okay. Similarly, we want this network. Okay. If you go to the address space of this network, which is PSF1, we have given as 172.32. So we want 172.32 to communicate with 172.31 also. So what we will do, we'll go inbound, we'll add a rule. We will say source any, port any, destination, we'll give this IP address range. Okay. And we'll keep the port any, and we'll give this priority as 100, and we'll call this all outbound to PSF on-prem. Okay. So we are allowing outbound traffic also to go to PSF on-prem. So we created this network security rule also. So this will allow from my network, from this network, I can communicate to this network. Okay. But you cannot communicate, just like that. You have to do peering to do that. Okay. So we'll learn about peering. So I hope you guys have understood this network security group, right? Any questions on this? Okay. So we know, right? Whenever you create a virtual network, Microsoft creates some system routes. Okay. So these are created by default by Microsoft. You cannot change them, but you cannot delete them. You cannot change them, but you can override their functionality. Okay. So every subnet has a route table that contains the following minimum routes. Okay. One will be the local VNet. We understood that, right? VNet, within the VNet, the communication is happening. By default, all these subnets will communicate with each other. Okay. Okay. If you are communicating with on-premise network, for that also, there will be a default route, and the next hop address will be the VNet gateway. We'll create a VNet gateway later in the next slides. We'll understand about that. And all traffic to internet is allowed. So the internet gateway is the next hop address. Okay. So these three are the minimum routes you will see, which we have seen in the network security group, right? Whenever you create a network, by default a subnet, a network security group will have all those routes. Okay, so this is this default routing in the subnet. If the address is within the VNet address prefix, route to local VNet. Okay, within the VNet, the communication will happen. If the address is within the on-premise prefix, okay, if you are doing point-to-site VPN or site-to-site VPN or express route for connectivity from your on-premise network to virtual network, then you will have this route stating go to VNet gateway. Okay, okay. Then if the address is not part of VNet or from the on-premise address, then go to NAT for internet. Okay, local NAT, it will go for internet. Okay, these are the three basic which we learned in the last slide. These are also two within the, if you are trying to do communication with VNet to VNet, you will have these two routes. Okay, the data center routes, and that will go to the gateway. Okay, and we talk about route table, right? So you can also this is the system routes what you have, but if you want to create your own user defined routes, you can have that option also. You can create your own static routes, and if you are getting BGP traffic from on-premise network, that also can be added as a route in your route table to change the functionality of the system routes, but you cannot delete these routes. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the virtual network. Now the next topic what we will discuss is peering. Okay, what is VNet peering? So this VNet peering is used to connect two Azure virtual networks together. Okay, we have VNet A and VNet B. By default, two VNets will not communicate, but you want them to communicate. You can do it in two ways. One is through VNet peering, other is through VPN connection. Okay, so this VNet peering is Microsoft proprietary connection service. You can do that way, but it is very easy to configure also. And this VNet peering allows to connect to VNet in the same region, same subscription, or different region, different subscription. You can be anywhere, you can do that. Okay, and it provides a seamless communication between the peered networks. Okay, and there are two peering options available for you. One is VNet peering. This connects VNets within the same Azure region. Let's say you are in East US. In East US, you have more than one data availability zone. So you can create the one virtual network in one availability zone and another virtual network in another availability zone, and you can do the peering, VNet peering. And global VNet peering is you create a VNet peering across regions. Okay, one VNet is in India, another VNet is in USA. You want to do peering between them, you can use the global VNet peering option. Okay, once you enable peering between two virtual networks, the virtual machines can communicate via their private IP address. So you do not require a public IP address for communication between that virtual machines. You can also peer virtual networks that are located across different subscriptions. You have more than one subscription and you want to do peering. We understood a scenario, right? You have production server in one subscription and database server in one subscription. You can do the VNet peering, and the application server can communicate with the database server. And the virtual networks cannot have overlapping CIDR blocks. Okay, so to let's say VNet A is also having 10.1 and VNet B also having 10.1, then the communication will not work. Okay, it will have loops. So you have to plan your IP address properly. Okay, network traffic between peered networks is private and kept on Microsoft's backbone network. It does not go to the internet. It's within the Microsoft network. PNet requires no public internet gateways or encryption. Okay, it is all encrypted. It doesn't require any public IP. Configuring PNet requires no downtime. Without downtime, you can configure the VNet. Okay. Okay. Then next is the VPN connection. We'll come to that. Let's create a VNet peering first. So we created two networks, right? PSF1, PSF on-prem, and PSF AZ1. So we'll think this as a on-premise environment, but we'll create one more VNet which is called network AZ1. Okay, we'll go to this network, open that network, and you will see peering option. You go to peering and you add a peering here. Okay. Now you give this peering name. Okay. You want this peering to happen with this in this subscription. If you have multiple subscription, you will see all the multiple subscriptions here. I have only one subscription, and I will do it with my PSF on-prem. Okay. Now you see the name is changed to this. So we will call this at from AZ1 to here. Then I'll call this as, we have to do peering from both sides. So Microsoft will, you have this from one VNet, you can do peering to both the networks. Okay, now it is allowed. Now what do you want to allow? You allow all virtual network access the, all the virtual networks, access from PSF AZ1 to PSF on-prem, and from PSF on-prem to PSF AZ1. Okay, that is allowed. We have enabled. Now you want to allow forwarded traffic from on-prem to AZ1. Let's say some traffic which is not originated from PSF on-prem, but it is coming into on-prem and it is trying to communicate with PSF AZ1. You can allow that traffic also. Okay. And similarly, you can do that from traffic which is not originating from PSF VNet AZ1, that can also communicate with on-prem. Okay. Okay, it took on-prem. Okay. And we will we'll learn about this allow virtual gateway transmit later on, but as of now you just leave this. So we have created this VNet and we open. Just give it a minute. Now you see the peering status is connected. Now we created this VNet in PSF VNet AZ1. If I go to PSF on-prem and see the peering, we'll have this peering also here. Okay, and you see the gateway transmitted disabled. We did not enable it. Okay, so I have created this VNet. So VNet peering is simple. There is no difference way for creating a VNet peer globally or normal. You just have to select the VNet. Okay, and it will create that peering. Okay. Before the class, what I have done, I have created few networks. Okay, and if you go, and if I see the VNet peering, you can see that my VNet on-prem is connected to VNet AZ1, and it is also connected to VNet AZ2. Okay, and if I, you can see this, right? I have already created few VMs, and I have also created few VMs in this. If I go to the connected devices, you can see I have these VMs created. Okay, these devices are created with this subnet. Okay, if I go to the virtual machines, I have few virtual machines. So this is my on-prem virtual machines. Okay, now what I am doing, I will take this IP address of my on-prem. I'm showing how the VNet peering communicates. I have copied this. Let me open PowerShell. Okay, so I'll try to SSH. Let me take the VM name. It is on-prem VM, right? So I'm trying to do SSH. Okay.
Spelling.
Yeah. So it is asking password. So I'll give the password, and you can see I'm connected to the VNet. Okay. So my VNet is paired between VNet 1 and VNet 2 also. So now what I'll do, let's see how is the communication happening. So I have this AZ1 VM. So I have this VM in AZ1. Okay. And instead of the private public IP, I'll try to connect it with the private IP, because private IP should not give you SSH access, session from the public IP if you are not in the inside that VNet. Okay. So I'll do SSH again. and this time I'll say AZ VNet1 at this public IP. Okay. So now it is asking me password. So I'll give the password and I'm connected. So you can see from my, and you see this is the AZ1. So now the communication is happening because I am in the PNet. So on the private IP, I am able to communicate with that VM. Okay. So this is how the VNet peering works. So I am communicating on the public IP address. If I go to the VNet AZ1's network, okay, so this is the VNet, I have, and this is the address space, okay, and I'm connected to that address space only here with this IP, okay, and I can see subnet, and if I go to subnet, and I see the network security group associated with that, okay. So if I go to NSG, and if I open this is the network security group. If I see inbound traffic, so any inbound from an on-premise, this network is allowed. Okay. And if I want to do similar SSH, I can do it from this. I can go to 167, this address also. Okay. Any outbound to this is allowed. Okay. I have one more VNet, peering VNet, as I've created 3 VNets, right? Okay. This has this address space is 167. So this traffic is also allowed from VNet 1 to VNet 2. Okay, AZ1 to AZ2. So I have done this peering. So I hope this peering concept is clear. Okay, so without any configuration of public IP, all those things, you can easily communicate 2 VNets. If you have multiple VNets, you can make them communicate with each other. Okay. Similarly, if I have a machine with this IP address range also, I can communicate. Because for the demo, I cannot wait for creating all those virtual machines, right? So I have already created before this, and I'm showing you the example. Okay, and this VM is in East US location, and this is in East US 2. So both are in different location, different data centers, but they are communicating locally with the VNet peering. Okay, because I'm communicating them on the private IP, not the public IP. Okay. The other way is you can do using VPN, site-to-site VPN connection. Okay. If you have this site-to-site VPN connection, you can do between VNets and also with your on-premise environment. So if you want, I don't know, I have not used in my experience, if you are doing 2 VNet communication, I have not done VNet communication with VPN. We have done with peering only, but you may get a requirement where you want the communication to happen through VPN. Okay, that is also allowed. So this connects VNets in same or different region. Again, it also connects you with the on-premise environment, and it provides a secure tunnel. You get the IPsec tunnel. Okay, and this model requires a virtual network gateway. In Azure, you call it, the VPN gateway is called as virtual network gateway. In the on-premise environment, it is called as VPN gateway only. Okay. So I will, I will change this word, use interchangeably. If I call it VPN gateway or VNet gateway, I mean the same. Okay. To create a site-to-site VPN, you need to have these components. Okay. One is the on-premise network. Okay. Then the VPN appliance in the on-premise network. You should have any appliance like firewall or any device which has capable of doing VPN, capabilities device you should have. On Azure, you have to have virtual network, and you should have a subnet gateway, and you should have a VPN gateway. Okay. And how do you deploy this? How the VPN is deployed on Azure? First, you need to create a subnet gateway. Okay. Then you need to create a VNet gateway. Subnet gateway is nothing but the IP address what you want to give to the VNet gateway, the private IP. Then you create a local gateway. This local gateway will associate the VPN VNet gateway as well as your IP address range of your VNet. Okay, and then you deploy the VPN connection. If you are doing it with on-premise, you will configure your on-prem device also, on-prem VPN device also. Okay. This subnet gateway is part of your VNet IP address range. Okay. So this is a private IP address range. This IP address range is given to your VPN VNet gateway. Okay. In one subscription, you can only have one VNet gateway. but you can make multiple connections to the VPN gateway, and those multiple connections are managed by the subnet gateway. Okay. Subnet gateway, don't get confused by the name. It is not a router or a VPN appliance. This is just an IP address. Okay. We can create gateway from your VNet in order to configure virtual network. Microsoft recommends you use /27 or /28 IP address subnet mask to create this subnet gateway IP address. Okay. Then we'll talk about VPN gateway. VPN gateway is a specific type of VNet gateway that is used to send encrypted traffic between your VNets and your on-premise location over public internet. Okay. We can also use VPN gateway to send encrypted traffic between the Azure VNets, okay, over Microsoft network. Each virtual network can have only one VPN gateway. Okay, you cannot have multiple VPN gateway. However, you can create multiple connections to the same VPN gateway. Okay, let's say you have one VPN gateway here, and you are connecting 4 of your IP on-premise locations. You can do through that one gateway only. Okay. And the local, what is the local network gateway? To whenever you create a VNet gateway, right, that will have a public IP. Okay. But you want your IP address range, which is private IP, to communicate to this public IP. So you will go and map the public IP of that local VNet gateway in the local area network gateway. Okay. We will do that. If you do during the configuration, you will understand this properly. Okay. We specify the IP address prefix that we will be routed through the VPN gateway. Okay. So we'll create the VPN gateway. Okay. So first we'll go to our on-prem network. Okay. And subnet. Okay. You see, I have already created a subnet, not this virtual network. We have created on-prem, right? So if you see this, you have this subnet gateway here, right? Gateway subnet. So you can create this here. So to do this, Microsoft has a calculator. Okay. If you go to, one second, internet, if you go gateway subnet, calculator, it will take you here to this link, and you go down and you copy this PowerShell command, complete PowerShell command. Okay. So I have already copied that. It's in my seed network. If I open this, so it will similar to look this. So what you have to do is you have to go and take your IP range. So this is your IP range. That is 172.31.0.01. Okay. So you go here, you give your IP range 172.31./16, and we want to create this is the IP address, this is the subnet mask, and we want to create another subnet with /28. Microsoft recommends /27 as well as /28. So we'll use /28. I'll save it. Okay. I'll open PowerShell. I'll exit this. Okay. And I'll go to my C drive. It is in C drive. Okay. You guys can see, right? Now I'll try to run this PowerShell command. So I saved it as gateway subnet calculator. And if I run this, so now it gave me a subnet range for using, with my IP address for my gateway subnet. I'll just copy this. I'll go to my subnets and I'll create this. Okay. So I'll not associate it with any network security group as of now, but I'll just click OK. So it is created. Similarly, we will do it for our this subnet also. We'll open this. This time you have /32 here, right? I'll save this. No, I'll run this again. This will give me a similar IP address number. Okay. I'll go to this subnet. I'll create a subnet mask. It's /32, right? Yeah. Okay. So I have created two subnet gateways for the VNet AZ1 and our on-prem network. So we are just simulating this to be our on-prem network. Okay. Similarly, even if you are using virtual appliance, you have to do the same configurations. Okay. The other thing you have to do, once we have created a subnet gateway, we have to create the virtual network gateway. If you go to virtual network gateway, okay, remember this virtual network gateway will take a lot of time, up to 35 to 45 minutes to create. So that is the reason I have already created two VNet gateways to show you how the VNet connection works. Okay, I have created two VNets already. So one is in East US, another is East US. So our subnet is in West US, I believe, right? In Central US. Okay. So I'll add a subnet gateway here. So you see the resource group is taken from the network. So I will go and select my virtual network first. Okay, I'll give a name. So I'll call it as gateway. Okay. For my, what is the name of my virtual network? I'll keep the same name only. Okay. So this is the VNet gateway and it is in Central US. So I'll select the location Central US. Okay. Now there are two ways you can create, as I said, right, virtual gateway. One is for VPN, other is for express route. This express route is, when you have a private lease line connection from your on-premise network to Azure data center, then you can do, we do not have that. So we'll just do VPN. And VPN, you have two options. If you click this and learn more, one is you can do it using a policy based VPN, and other is route based. This policy is legacy based, and what you select here, okay, depends on the VPN appliance what you're having at your on-premise location. If your VPN appliance is policy based, you have to select the policy. If it's route based, you have to select the route based. Most of the VPN appliances these days are route based. This is a legacy version, policy based. Okay. But you can do that also. Microsoft gives you that option also. Okay. And you can see the SKUs, what is supported and what is not supported. We'll see the SKUs now. So we will select route based, VPN type, and you have multiple, SKUs, multiple SKUs. We'll go with the basic version. If you go to, Azure VPN gateway pricing, so you will see that different VPN has different pricing. Okay. So this is the basic version, which costs you 2 rupees per hour. It supports this much bandwidth. Maximum you can have 10 SS side-to-side VPN tunnels. You can have 28 point-to-side VPN tunnels. Okay. So based on your requirement, you have to select the in production environment. You will select this only mostly. This will cost you something around 2,000 rupees per month, and this will cost you something around 9,000 rupees per month. So based on your requirement, if you are doing, you are a big organization, more than 5,000 people connect using point-to-side VPN, then you have to go with, the VPN gateway number 5. Okay. It depends upon your requirement. Side-to-side VPN tunnels max are 30 everywhere. Okay. Only in basic you have 10, but the difference comes with the bandwidth it supports. Okay. And the maximum number of point-to-side VPNs you can have. Okay. Every tunnel will cost you again different. This is per tunnel cost. If I go to pricing calculator, okay, and if I say VPN gateway, okay, and I'm doing it in West India, for example. So the base, I am saying how many hours in a month it will run, 730 hours. So you see it is costing me this much. If I change that to this, it will cost me 9,000. And I can have additional tunnels here. Let's say if I want to have 5 tunnels, it will, cost me more. So the total cost will increase. Then you have data inbound egress also. So you have to calculate this all cost and plan it properly. Okay. And 128 VPN tunnels are included for free of cost. Okay. And if you go to this, you also have this option to host it in different availability zones. Okay. So you have these options. It will, the higher this queue, higher the cost. Okay. So in our example, we will select a basic version, and there is only generation 1 as of now, but future Microsoft will come with other networks. So I selected the location Central US, right? And it is giving me the available networks. So I'll select the on-prem network. And it, once I select that, it has taken the subnet, gateway subnet, which I created, okay, automatically. And I want this to have a public IP also, because we will be doing VNet. So I'll call it as this public IP. Okay. And do I want active mode? No, but because basic does not support active mode, all the tunnels will be active at a time for higher performance, but basic does not support that. You have to go with the higher version. And if you are doing BGP routing from your on-premise network, you can do that also. You have to give the autonomous system number, the ASN number. So I'll just disable it. And if I want to give any tags, I will do, and I'll create. So this will take a lot of time to create. Okay. It will take at least 30 minutes to 45 minutes to create. Okay. So let this happen in the background. Let this get created. If I go to virtual network gateway, you will see this network is getting created. It will take some time, and slowly it will associate itself with the IP address also. Okay. It takes a lot of time. Okay. It takes a lot of time. Okay. So right now we have already created 2 VPN virtual network gateway. I have created this yesterday just for our, so we will do a site-to-site VPN between these 2 gateways. Okay. So what's the other thing? Once we create the deployment process, we have created the gateway subnet. We have created the VNet gateway. The other is to create a local VNet network gateway. So we'll type local network gateways. Okay. Right now I do not have any local network gateway. I just go to the virtual networks. No, sorry, I'll go to virtual network gateways. So now you see one gateway is getting created, but as of now we will not get the IP address till now. So it will take some time. So we'll use this, the first on-prem VNet. You see the IP address associated. Let's copy this IP. I'll create a local network gateway. So I'll call this local gateway for my VNet on-prem. Okay. Now I have to give the IP address, public IP address of the gateway network. Okay, the virtual VPN gateway of the public IP. Then after that, I have to give the address space of what? Address space of my VPN network. If I go to the virtual networks, this my on-prem address space I have to give. Okay. So this IP address is of my gateway of my local VPN on-prem network. Then this is the address space of my on-prem network. So I am associating the public IP with the on-prem network's IP address. I hope you are clear till here. Okay. And I'll select the range, and it is in East US. I'll select the location also. This is the same resource group. Now I create this. Okay. Then I have to go to the virtual network of AZ VNet 2. I have to copy this IP address because we have to create one more local gateway. in the real scenarios, in the real time, you will only create one, and you will have the other created in an on-premise virtual network. For the demo purpose, I do not have a VPN appliance, right? That is the reason I'm just simulating on-prem VNet as my on-prem, environment. So this resource is deployed. So I have the local gateway created. So I'll create one more local gateway for my VNet AZ1. Okay. Then I'll give the public IP of that VNet. Then I'll give the address space also. Okay. I have given the address space. Then I'll select the resource group and the location where the network is there, and I'll create it. So one is in East USA, another is in East US2. So let this also get created. So once the local gateways are created, the other thing is we have to go and deploy the VPN connection. So from here, if I go to connections, you see I do not have any connections. So let this get created first. There are 2 deployments in progress. So this one is the VNet gateway we are creating, right? It is already 5 minutes. It is not created, and the other local VNet gateway is created. Okay. Now we have to map the local gateway and the VNet gateway with each other. So we'll create a connection, and we'll select, as I said, right, these VPN connections allow you to have VNet to VNet, point to site, and express route. In our example, we'll do point to site. Then I select the resource group, then the East US location. Now it is asking you to select the virtual gateway. Here the virtual gateway you'll see is of your on-prem network, okay? Because that on-prem network is in East US. Now I have selected the virtual network of on-prem, but the local gateway will be of VNet AZ2, okay? So I am mapping virtual gateway network, the VPN gateway of on-prem with the local gateway of VNet 2, and I'm using this protocol for the IPsec, and I will give any shared key, whatever name you want to give, you can do that. I will give my name. Okay. I'm just giving this as shared key. This shared key should be common for both the connection, for the connection to happen, and create this. Now we have to create a similar connection, okay, with the on-prem network too. I'll select this location. I'll say okay. Now you will have the VNet AZ2 and the on-prem network VNet gateway and the same shared key what we have given earlier. I have to give that, and I say okay. So now you can see in some time, it will take, this will also take some time, like 5 minutes, but you will see that both are connected. Okay. Before that, what I'll do, I'll go here, virtual networks. I'll remove the peering because we have peering also configured, right? I'll go ahead and I'll remove the peering because I want to show that communication happens. Oh, not this one. So it is deleting the network peering. Okay. I'll delete this also. So this will delete from here. It is deleted from here. So we have deleted the peering. Now if you go, the communication will not happen. Okay. If I try to do SSH from AZ, what is that, on-prem VM? At What is the IP address? Why it is not coming? One 137.117.32.170. Okay. What happened? Okay. So I am connected to the on-prem VM. Okay. Now if I go to the connections which we created, you see they have not connected yet. They'll get connected. Okay. Give them some time. They'll get connected. Okay. You refresh it. So if you see, this virtual network gateway of the on-prem network can talk to the local gateway network of AZ1 network. Okay. And if you go here and you type this, the virtual gateway of network gateway of the VPN gateway of AZ1 can talk to the local gateway of on-prem VM. So this is how the connection mapping is done. So give it a time. It will take some time, but it will get connected, and the status you will see as connected here. Okay. And if we go to this virtual network gateway, you will see this on-prem virtual network is still has not configured because you did not get the IP address. Okay. So once you see this as connected, it will happen. So it takes some time for the connection to happen. So you have to just have patience, and you have to refresh this. Okay, it takes some time, like 10 to 15 minutes it will take for the VPN connection to happen from behind. Okay, and the status will change to connected. It from unknown it will get to not connected, and from not connected it will become connected. So we have created this network. So this is the basic things you have in an Azure network. The other things, you have traffic manager, you have application gateway, and those are for for higher, not for this class. We can learn them about in a different class. But I hope up to here you have understood what is a VNet, what is a subnet, the network security group, how you can create a VNet peering, how you can create a VPN connections. So for VPN connections, you need 4 things. One is you need a gateway subnet, then you need a virtual VPN gateway, then you need a local gateway, and then you need to do the connection. Okay. So this is about virtual networks. The other important topic what we have to look is called network watcher. Okay. So what is a network watcher? Microsoft has a tool, okay, called network watcher. This tool provides tools to monitor, diagnose, view metrics, enable, disable logs for your resources in Azure Virtual Network. So any resource which is installed, which is using your virtual network, you can monitor that, view the metrics of that resource using Azure Network Watcher. Okay. This network watcher is designed to monitor and repair network health of your infrastructure as service products, which includes virtual machines, virtual networks, application gateways, load balancers, etc. Okay. And this virtual network watcher is a regional service. It is not a global service, a regional service. Every region will have its own network watcher. Okay. And important note, you have to understand it. It is not intended for or will not work for PaaS monitoring or web analytics. Okay. For that, we have application security groups. Okay. This is only for network security group level, not application security group level. Okay. There are a lot of tools in network watches. Some are monitoring tools, some are diagnostic tools. Then you have usage and metrics. Then you have monitoring tools, right? In monitoring tools, then you have the diagnostic tools, then you have metrics, and then you have logs. Okay. So in the monitoring tools, you have a tool called topology. This tool gives you capability to generate a visual diagram of resources in your virtual network. So if you want to see how the virtual network is there, in your Azure, you can see a visual representation of that. Okay. So we'll do that. We'll go to our portal. We'll go to Network Watcher. Okay. So if you go, as I said, it's a regional service, right? You will see that I have 33 regions available for my subscription, and it is partially enabled. So if I click this, you will see it is enabled for West US and it is enabled for East US. If you want to enable it for other region, you can just click here. Let's say I want to do it for Central India. I just go here and I click enable network watcher. So this will enable it for Central India also. And you will see the status here. What is the status of the network watcher? So if I go to East US, you will see that this region is enabled for me. And I see all the services, right? I see all the tags and all those things associated with me. So now we talked about topology, right? So this tool gives me a topology view of my virtual network. If I click here, you see that I have 3 virtual networks. I hope you guys can see my screen, right? You can see that I have 3 virtual networks. One is VNet on-prem. I have VNet AZ2 and VNet AZ1, and you see the connectivity between them, how they are connected. Okay. If I go more, if I see on-prem, so you see I have this on-prem VNet. I have this gateway installed on this VNet. I have this subnet. This subnet has this the NIC card, and I have the on-prem local gateway. Okay, this is the local gateway. I have the gateway subnet, and I have one on-prem VM, one on-prem network security group, and an on-prem public IP also. If I go to AZ1, I see similar things. Okay, the AZ1 subnet is not showing. We have configured it for AZ2. Okay. So you see this, right? So this is there. So you see the gateway and everything, whatever is associated with that. Okay. We did a mistake, guys. I'll tell you what we did. Okay. You see this, right? So this is there. This is connected. Okay. We have this local gateway and everything connected to this. You can see this using the topology watcher. Okay. Then you have connection monitor. This connection monitor capability monitors communication at regular interval and informs you about the reachability, okay, between your networks, VNet endpoints. Okay. So if I go to the network watcher, okay, give me 1 minute. If I go to connection monitor, I have already created a connection monitor here. If I go to details, I have created a, let's create one, okay, for our web, we'll call it our monitor. Okay. And we'll do it for this VM. We want to see the connection between web 01 and web 02, okay, on port 22. Okay. And I'll click add. So this will create that monitor for us, and it'll show it whether we are able to connect to it or not. So you can create this monitor for let's say these are web VM, right? You can create a port 80 and see the connection is happening on port 80 or not, and in that way you can monitor this. So it is getting created. It will take some time and it will get created. And it is loading the details of this connection monitor. And you say it is running, and it runs every 60 seconds. And it is similarly seeing whether AZVM1 and AZVM2 can communicate with each other. Okay, it is running. So if I just refresh, you will see that also. So you saw that 2 VM, right? In the same VM it is saying it is running. So you can create monitors and see whether the connection is happening or not happening. Okay. So it is loading this data. Give it a minute. So it is see on port 22, this Web01 VM can reach Web02. Yes, it is reachable. You can see it can reach. So you have this option. Okay, it can reach this VM. Okay, it is reachable, because if I go to the VMs and if I go to VNet 01 and I see networking, you see port 22 is allowed. Okay, that is the reason it is saying that it is reachable. If I create a security one more group, okay, and call it as web monitor, okay, and I select the VM web 1 and the web 2 and select port 80. Port 80 is not allowed. Okay, and I say okay. Let us give it time and it will run and it will show not reachable. Okay, because we have not allowed port 80 here. Okay, nor in VM virtual 1 or virtual 2 is also not having, VM2 is also not having port 80. Only port 22 is allowed. So here you will see that it is not reachable. So let's refresh this. So this is just a monitoring service. If you are into a network operation center and all those things, you can do that. Okay. So if I say web monitor, it is loading the details. Let us give it few seconds. So it is checking every
Asif, do we lost your audio?
Yeah, because I know my internet was gone. Am I clear now?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys can hear me? Yeah, okay. So you can see my screen also, right? You guys can see my screen, right?
Yes, Asif. Yeah. You can see.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I had internet connectivity issue. So if I go to my web monitor, it is, while doing that. So it will say it is unreachable. Okay. If I click here, it is taking some time. So you see it is saying that it is unreachable because that is not allowed. So Web01 cannot connect to Web02. Okay. These both are in active state, but they cannot connect. Okay. If you want to see the topology also, you can see topology is not there, but it is unreachable. It cannot reach on port 80. Okay. And network performance monitor, if you are available about network performance monitor, this is a very big topic. Okay, I have not configured this. This is is accessible for Network Watcher, enabling you to have a centralized view of your network monitoring requirement. Okay, if you are from NOC center and you want to monitor all the virtual networks for you or for your customers, you can enable this. This will create a log analytics workspace. Okay, and that you have to know the Custo query language to use this. If you are from a network NOC center, you will know how to use this network monitor. We will leave this for our developers. Okay. Then the other tools what we have is IP flow verify. Okay. This tool is a diagnostic tool, not a monitoring tool. It will diagnose if you have some troubleshooting purpose, you can do this. This tool, has enables you to specify the source and destination IP address and protocol, and see the traffic direction outbound and inbound, and see whether the communication is happening, succeeding, or it's failing. Okay, let's say you have lot of VMs and you are seeing that one VM is not able to communicate with one VM. Then you can use this tool. You can just go and select the VM. I'll select the group, the machines. Whenever I select the resource group, it gives me the available machine. It gives me the network interface card. It gives me the TCP, what protocol I want to find. Do I want to see the inbound connection or outbound connection? On what port? I will select, let's say port 22 again, because that is the port open. And I can check from, whether this is allowed or not allowed. Inbound. Okay. If someone wants to connect from this IP to this IP address on port 22, is it allowed or not allowed? So this will check. Okay. So it is saying that required parameter remote port is missing. Okay. So I have to give the remote port IP also. I forgot that. Okay. And I have to give port 22. I want these two machines to, I want this machine to check whether it can communicate with this machine. Okay, which is web 02. If I go to web 02 and if I see the private IP of that, you see it is 10.5. So now it is saying it is allowed, access is allowed. Now if I want to do port 80, you will see it is not allowed. So the same check what we are doing in monitoring, we are doing it on IP flow verify also. Okay. Then is next hop. This capability enables you to specify source and destination IP address. Next hop then tests the communication, informs you what type of next hop is used to route the traffic. So if you want to know the next hop of any VM, you can do this. So these tools are useful when you have large, network to monitor and diagnose, that there you will help it. And security rules. This is nothing but your network security groups. You have the network security groups created, right? That view also you can have in the Azure Monitor network. You now say this, it is allowed. Okay, all inbound is allowed because they are in the same VNet group. Okay, that's all inbound allowed security group is there. So that is, it is allowed. Okay. If you go next hop, you will select the resource group and the VM and the destination. Okay. We will select one destination here. I have one VM. I do not have a VM, but let's. I want to see, this is my VNet AZ2 and this is VNet AZ1 and this is AZ2. So I want to see this VM AZ1 VM if it has to connect to AZ2 VM. So what is the next hop? So I do not have a next hop. The only next hop is internet. I have to go to internet to connect that VM. Okay, because they cannot communicate with each other. So there is no hop available for me. Okay, and this route is taken from the route system route, not from the user defined route. Okay, and this is security, network security rules. The same, if you go to the resource group, you will see the VM what I have, and you will see the network security rules associated with that VM. Okay. So I have this network interface card, and you will see the rules associated with VM here. This is similar to your, network security group in the VM. This is a similar view what you get if you go to this. Sorry, where are we? Okay, this is a similar view what you have, right? Inbound and outbound traffic. You will see a similar view here on the network watcher. Okay, what is allowed, what is not allowed. Okay, the similar view you have it here. Okay, then is again if you are a VNet gateway, it is saying that it is succeeded and it is updating. Okay, you have that VNet monitoring also available for you, VPN monitoring. So any VPN gateway you want to do, you can monitor that. Okay, in this VPN troubleshoot. Then you have packet capture. If you want to do any packet capture, You can do that, packet capture here, and you can see the bytes, it has what it has taken. It is stated is loading, and this will create a storage account, and you'll see the packet there. So I have this storage account created. I don't know in which storage account it has added. Yeah. So you see the log and the packet, it created. You can see this. If you download and use it in whatever tool you want, you can use this network watcher if you want to. Okay. Where is network watcher? Yeah. So this connection troubleshoot, this troubleshoot the connection again between the VMs and the port and the destination port. This is similar to the connection monitor, but this troubleshoots, it gives you the problems, what is happening. This just monitors whether the connection happens or is not happening, but this will monitor and it will give you the reason why the connection is not happening. You can also give the source port if you want to do, okay? And then next is metrics. We understood, right? Metrics. This will give you metrics on your quota. This is my subscriptions, and this is my all service quota for my network provider. So you can see whether I have reached the quota or not. So I can create one network watcher in one region. Okay, as I said, it's a regional service. So you can see I have network watcher enabled in all these regions, and it is stating that I have reached the 100% quota. Okay. Then I have, if I go to the public IP addresses in one region, I can create how many? I can create up to 10 public IPs. So it is stating that I can increase the quota also. If I request, I can increase the quota. This will raise a support ticket to Microsoft, and this will increase visa. By default, it is allowing me to have 10 public IP. Out of 10, I have used 4. So you can see the limit of your quotas here. Okay. All I am seeing about network. If I want to see about compute, I can see about the compute quota limits also. Okay. So this VM I am using, so I am allowed to use 10 VMs. Out of 10 VMs, I am using 2 VMs. I have created 2 VMs of this size in this region. Okay. So you can see the quota available. So as of now, these are all the services which are available for viewing the quota. Okay. Now are the network security flow logs. Okay. If you want to view the network security related flow logs, you can do that. As of now, it is in off state. Okay. If I on this, it will ask me to give a storage account, and it will save the logs there. If you guys remember, during the VM creation, we said diagnostic logs, right? It will create a storage account. Those logs can also be viewed from here. As of now, we do not have any diagnostic logs storage account created. But if I want to view that, I can do it at network interface level again, and at the network security group level also. So as of now, I don't have. I have to add that setting that will again create a storage account. It will send it to storage account or to log analytics. So I can do that also. And I do not have any logs created, but if I have any logs created, I can do analytics also. Okay, I can see the traffic analytics here. So it will say that I do not have logs configured. But if I want to do that, I can do that as also. I have to save the logs to do it. So I hope this is clear. We'll stop it here today. Tomorrow we have last 3 topic left. One is we will cover the load balancer. Okay, what is a load balancer service? If you want to cover, we can cover it today also. We have more 20 minutes. Okay, and we have 2 kinds of load balancers. One is external, internal. Then we will go to the backup and Azure Site Recovery tomorrow. Because if we do the load balancer tomorrow, in 30 minutes or 40 minutes, our class will be over. It is up to you guys. If you want me to continue today, I will do with the load balancer. So should I continue or should I wait for tomorrow?
We'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. I am fine with that. Even today is fine with me. So we'll just do the theoretical part today, and we'll do the practical tomorrow. Okay. So Azure has a lot of balancing services. Okay, to balance the load. So these are the 2 services what we have. These are the 4 services which are available for balancing the load in Azure. One is a typical load balancer that comes in basic and standard version. Then you have application gateway to manage your app service. Okay. Then you have traffic manager, which manages the HTTP traffic coming to your web application. Then you have front door. Front door is also similar for managing HTTPS traffic. So you guys are aware, right? Load balancing is evenly distributing the load coming into your network across your backend resources. Okay, whatever you have backend pool, so that will balance the load. Okay, in Azure Load Balancer is a high performance, low latency layer 4 load balancing service. Okay, make sure I hope you guys are aware about the OSI model, right? The layer 7 layers. So this balances at the layer 4. Okay. So the same point I have repeated here. And this load balancer distributes inbound flows that arrive at the load balancer front end to the backend pool. Okay. This front end can be a public IP. It can also be a private IP. If it's a public IP, it will become an external load balancer. If it's a private IP, it will become a private or internal load balancer. Okay. The external load balancer can provide outbound connections to your virtual machines. Okay, and these connections are accomplished by translating their private IP addresses. Okay, using the NAT. And the internal IP is to balance the internal backend pool. Okay, if I go to this diagram, you can see, right, I have two load balancers. One is the public load balancer, other is the internal load balancer. So this I'm balancing port 80 traffic on this public load balancer. Any traffic which is coming on port 80, I am balancing that traffic here. And any traffic internally which is coming from HTTPS, that is port 443, I am balancing that at internal balancer here. So this is the front end pool and front end configuration, and this is the back end pool. Back end pool is nothing but the VMs what you have behind. Okay, and you can see this is the larger view of this view. So I have this option, I can balance that. So as we understood, right, there are to configure a load balancer, we have these components. First four are mandatory. Okay, without this you cannot create the load balancer. These are optionals. If you want to do, you can do, otherwise you can leave it. First is the front end IP configuration. So if you are configuring an internal load balancer, this will be the private IP. If you are configuring an public load balancer, this will be the public IP. Backend pool will be nothing but the VMs clustered together. And health probe is the service monitoring service which will monitor the health of the virtual machines. If any virtual machine is down, then it will inform the the load balancer that this virtual machine is off. Now balance the load with the available virtual machines. So you have to configure that health probes also. Then you have to configure the load balancing rules. Okay, we know that we have two balancers, right? One is the basic load balancer, other is the standard load balancer. So the basic load balancer is also a layer 4 load balancer. It supports up to 300 instances. So you can have up to 300 virtual machines in the backend pool. Okay, and it supports only TCP and HTTP traffic only, port 80 traffic only. It does not support SSL encrypted traffic, that is post 443 traffic is not supported. Okay, and a virtual machine in a single availability set or a virtual machine scale set only. Okay, you cannot have multiple availability scale sets or multiple availability sets machines to balance this. Okay, it supports both public and internal, and you do not have any SLA with basic load balancer. Microsoft does not give you any SLA. Standard load balancer, it is also a layer 4. It supports up to 1000 instance as a backend pool, and it supports HTTPS traffic also. Okay, you can have a single virtual machine or a virtual machine scale sets in a single network. Okay, you cannot have multiple networks here. It supports both public and external options, and it gives you SLA of 99.99%. Okay, and availability zones are also supported. You can have when you create virtual machines in availability zones, those virtual machines are also supported. Okay, and how this load balancer, the algorithm which it uses is 5-tuple hash. Okay, so the hash includes the IP address, the source port, the destination port and destination IP, and the IP protocol number. This is by default, it takes the 5-tuple hash, but if you want to configure a 2-tuple or 3-tuple or 4-tuple, you can do that. But 5 is default what it takes. Okay, so this is the theory. It's easy to go to the load balancer, which we will do today. Just go load balancer and you create that load balancer here. So we'll create this tomorrow. So tomorrow we will go with the load balancer. Then we'll go with the Azure backup service. Okay. You have to create a backup recovery service vault, and then you'll go with the site recovery also. So you have site recovery option. It comes with recovery service vault. So we'll understand what is the recovery service vault, and we'll understand the backup and the Azure site recovery. We will not do it on the on-premise environment, but we will try to back up these virtual machines what we have. Okay. Okay, guys, any questions from today's class? So make sure you take this script and try to do the calculation of the gateway subnet, and you can study when it comes to VPN, right? You can Azure VPN supported devices if you go. So you'll see all the supported device connections you have. You know what Microsoft support. So they support all this, for policy based and for the route based configuration. If you have this A10 networks, Elite, Elysis, Arista, Barracuda, Checkpoint, Cisco, Citrix, F5, Fortinet, Juniper, Microsoft Windows Server also you can do VPN if you want to do that. You have Sonic Wall, you have Palo Alto, you have Sophos. Okay. You see these major firewalls are not policy based. Okay. So they are all, route based. Okay. You have WatchGuard. So you have all these supported devices. Okay. So you can look. So if you want to do VPN connectivity with your on-premise network, so you should have any of one of these devices. So you can go to this portal also. So, you have to read a lot of documents to understand about the product. You see this VPN gateway is still in progress. It took 40 minutes, but it is still in progress. So the VPN gateway will take some time. So make sure you give some time, while creating. So here, any questions from today? You guys can ask me, or we will end the class.
Asif, do we have any white papers on this one? I mean, the complete sessions, what we got it right?
White papers in the sense from Microsoft you're talking?
Yeah.
So you have Microsoft documents, that's the big, Microsoft are the best documents. Okay. You can just type VPN gateway. Okay. Azure. And it comes with the available documents you have. It gives you everything, how to configure. The best way to read is first you read the overview, then you understand the concept, and then you go to the tutorials. It gives you how you can create and manage a VPN. Okay. It gives you, both the ways of creating that in what you say with PowerShell as well as with the portal. Okay. That gives you all the samples. So if you create a VPN gateway, route-based VPN gateway, Azure portal, so it will gives you how you can create. You have to go to virtual network. You create the virtual network first. Then you create the gateway, subnet gateway. Okay, it gives you the gateway. We select VPN, public IP if you want to do. Then you select the VPN, view the VPN gateway. You can do all those things. Then you create the site-to-site connection. It gives you everything. Every information is given. Okay, in that network. If you want to create multiple site-to-site VPNs also, and you have all those configuration here. So Microsoft, documents are in depth. It will give you more, things to learn. But make sure you do with the portal first, then go with the PowerShell or the Azure CLI. So you can also configure the VNet to VNet connection from Azure portal. Similarly, like site-to-site VPN, you can create the VNet to VNet creation also. Okay. The other thing, other thing which I have not said is the hub and spoke for VNet peering. Okay. This is also I encourage you guys to understand. You know what you can do. You can create one hub virtual network, and you can have peering between these two networks, not between these two networks, but you can, that spoke one can also communicate with spoke two. This can only be done with virtual VNet gateway. There are two ways you can achieve this. If I go to the virtual network, I have three virtual networks, right? If I create a peering between these two, then anything between these two will work. And if I create a peering between these two, anything between these two come. But from here to here, it will not work. Okay. If I want that to work, I have to create the VNet peering between these two also. But that is not advisable. That gives lot of complexity and lot of management is required. So the better way to do it is you create a VNet peering between these two and these two, and then you create a VNet global VNet peering. We'll do that. Okay. So let's say I create a VNet, right? I create a VNet between my on-prem VM and the VNet AZ1 PM, and I enable this allow gateway transit. So once I click this, what this will do is this will automatically allow traffic from spoke 1 to communicate with spoke 2. Okay, because I have gateway created here, it is showing that it is allowed. But if I do not have a gateway, it will say that it is not created. If I go here and I try to see the peering, if I create here, because we have created this VNet for hearing for this also, it is stating that it is allowed for me to do. Okay, so if you want to do that, this hub and spoke will also work. Okay, so one will be the hub. All the VNets will have a peering connection with the hub. Okay, they will not have with each other, but they can communicate with each other with the hub network's virtual gateway. Okay. So this allows, the benefit of this topology is, you can have cost saving, and you overcome subscription limits also you can overcome, and you can have separation of concerns. Okay. You can have, the SecOps team manage the SecOps infrastructure, and DevOps team can manage the DevOps. So you can have all those features here. You can study about this also and try to replicate it. Okay, guys, then we'll end the class here today. Let's connect tomorrow. Till then, take care. Bye, guys.